Do you think true love is strong enough to break familial ties? This is the story of Meriam al Khalifa, the princess of Bahrain who eloped with a US Marine and risked losing everything. Their story is one filled with obstacles and a not-so-traditional fairy tale ending. So how exactly did their story unfold in the last 23 years since they ran away together? Let's find out. Sheikh Abdullah bin Ibrahim al Khalifa, a distant relative of the ruler of Bahrain, had 5 daughters, and in 1998, one of them turned 18. She was the beautiful Meriam al Khalifa who had spent her entire childhood preparing for royal duties. Meriam always knew that her future would be with a man of high caliber and would probably be twice her age. But even though the young princess wasn't too keen on the idea, she didn't complain because she had already accepted her fate. However, her fate appeared to change in January of 1999 when she met Lance Corporal Jason Johnson, a 28-year-old United States Marine, by chance at an Americanized shopping mall in Bahrain. Jason had been stationed in Bahrain as part of a counterterrorism unit providing security for expatriate Americans. Since the country was relatively safe and welcoming to the Americans, he decided to go to shopping for some food. It was there he met the beauty who he couldn't peel his eyes away from. Their chance meeting eventually culminated in a series of late-night phone calls and meetups. As expected, Meriam's family wouldn't have been too pleased with the idea, so she tried to keep it a secret from them as much as she could. She would spend nights on the phone whispering sweet words to Jason in order to not be heard. Unfortunately, all her efforts were in vain, as the young couple were soon spotted by a member of the Bahrain Royal Guard who immediately spilled the beans to the queen. Meriam was forced to end the relationship as no one could fathom that a princess would stoop so low to date a commoner whose father was a mere truck driver. Plus, there was the issue of religion. Meriam had come from a devout Muslim family, and not only was Jason a Christian, but he was also a Mormon. But this didn't stop the duo, as even though Meriam had been warned to steer clear of Jason, they just couldn't keep away from each other. Soon, they resumed their relationship by secretly exchanging letters through a jewelry store employee at the mall. This went on for about 11 months until Jason's tour of duty was coming to an end. The couple knew that if they did not do something about their relationship, they would never get to see each other or be in each other's arms again. So Meriam took the bold step to ask her parents for their permission to move to the US with her newfound love. Unexpectedly, the royal family became furious, and instead of accepting their daughter's love and decision with open arms, they decided to place her under house arrest. The young woman was locked up in the palace with nowhere to go and no one to trust. However, upon hearing the news, Jason began to devise a new plan that would hopefully benefit them both. He had observed that military personnel were not often checked before they boarded the aircraft back to the US, and this was going to be what he would exploit. Jason reached out to his Marines friends and with their help found the princess a military uniform to wear along with a forged ID, which was good enough to get her out of Bahrain, but would not pass a thorough check. On the day of their travel, a limousine pulled up in front of the palace. Meriam told her parents that she had rented it for a shopping trip, and since they had forbidden her from going out without their permission, she needed it to leave the house. Sensing that their daughter was telling the truth and merely needed time out to herself, they let her leave. But she had other plans. Meriam changed her clothes into the Marine's uniform in the vehicle, and right after, she was on the way to the airport. With their hearts in their throats, the couple were granted entry into the aircraft, and soon enough, they were en route to the US. Relieved, the couple began to plan their lives together. However, they knew Meriam's father would not let this go easily, and they had to find a way to get Meriam into the country legally. When her father discovered he'd been tricked and she'd eloped with an American, he became even more furious. He demanded that the aircraft be turned around and his daughter returned immediately. He even threatened a high-profile diplomatic scandal, but the US State Department said that they would not return due to technical difficulties. Hamad, who was the king and Sheikh Abdullah's brother, went as far as threatening to close down the US military base in Bahrain, but all their threats fell on deaf ears. As soon as they touched down on American soil, Meriam applied for political asylum as she faced deportation since she didn't have legal rights to be in America. According to her, she was at risk of not just being harmed or even harassed, but also death because of the kind of relationship she had with Jason, who was a non-Muslim and an American. She also added that she had fled her native country illegally without her father's or the government's permission and could face dire consequences as a result of this. In a later interview with CBS News, the couple shared that if she had made her way back to Bahrain, she would have been lashed, executed, stoned, killed, or shot. Jason additionally shared with the press that due to the persistent tension within her family, there was every chance that she could become a target. According to him, the FBI had told him that they managed to intercept a Syrian national who made claims that he had been paid $500,000 to take her out. These fears were seen as solid basis enough to grant her asylum, and in May of 2001, it came through. However, things weren't as smooth for Jason. Thanks to his role in getting Meriam out of the country and how he did it, he was to face the consequences. He was court-martialed for forging military papers and would have had more dire consequences, but thankfully the case was getting massive media attention, and as a result, his punishment was only that he would be stripped of his lance corporal rank and be demoted to private, the lowest rank in the United States Marine Corps. 2 months later, he was honorably discharged. But things weren't so bad for the couple. They tied the knot in Las Vegas in 2001 and began their picture-perfect life. That same year, a made-for-TV movie heavily based on their relationship, their flight from Bahrain to the US, and their elopement titled The Princess and the Marine aired on NBC. It starred Mark Paul Gosselaar as Jason and Marisol Nichols as Meriam. Reportedly, the movie caused one of the biggest bidding wars for the packaged rights in the history of television movies, estimated at more than $500,000. The couple were paid $500,000 for the rights to use their story, and this was more than enough for them to begin a happy life together. However, even though they'd gained some sort of popularity and had been on the Oprah Winfrey Show, the duo weren't as happy as they thought they would be. Meriam was enjoying her fame and partying in Las Vegas. Soon enough, they blew through the paycheck from the movie and were facing financial ruin. To prevent this, Jason took up work as a valet while Meriam was plotting something else. Following the obtaining of her green card, she resumed communication with her family in Bahrain, and despite the claims she had made about her concerns about violence and death in Bahrain, she returned in late 2001 to reportedly visit her family. According to her, she and her family were worried about the violence aimed at people of Middle Eastern descent after the September 11, 2001 attacks. Although she returned to Vegas at the end of the year, 3 years later on November 17, 2004, a day after their 5th wedding anniversary, the couple filed for divorce. They cited incompatibility in marriage as the reason. Jason had also confirmed that Meriam had thrown herself into the Las Vegas nightlife, which eventually led them to become estranged. He opened up that they had even been considering divorce since 2001. Following their split, Sheikh Abdullah married Meriam to a top diplomat official in Bahrain, leading her to completely lose touch with Jason. But he wasn't waiting around sulking for her return either. According to reports, he spent the rest of his own money on college tuition and eventually remarried in 2011. Although Jason and Meriam's story didn't end as many people anticipated, they appear to be very content with the lives that they now lead 23 years later. Many people still believe that Meriam never truly loved Jason and was merely seeking an escape. Now, whatever the case might have been, what matters now is that they found love once more and promised to cherish it forever. Let us know your thoughts on Jason and Meriam's love story in the comment section below. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more.